Hello, welcome back to the channel. The NFL a couple of days ago released the 2025 schedule and we've had some reactions, and so I thought I'd make a quick video and I'd give my opinion on some of the top Monday Night Football games coming up for the 2025 season. All right, in total, through all 17, 18 weeks, we have 21 total games, and so what I wanted to spotlight is what I think personally the top 10 games are, and this is in no particular order, but I will highlight three of them because when you look at them, there are a handful, like some Monday Night Football games are not built like others, and there are some that are definitely, okay, this matchup does look a lot better than the rest. All right, so some of the bigger Monday Night Football games that I have coming up. Um, we start with week one. We got the Vikings versus the Bears. We have potentially a healthy J.J. McCarthy against Caleb Williams opening weekend. We'll see how both of these young quarterbacks do. Week two, we got Baker Mayfield against C.J. Stroud in a Bucks versus Texans game. I think that one could be a pretty interesting one. Week three, we have a big one coming out swinging. We have the Lions versus the Ravens. I think this is probably going to be the biggest game of the week, and this could potentially have a lot, as we look further down the line of this could potentially be a Super Bowl preview. We know how, dominant the Lions have been in the last couple seasons, and we've seen how far they've gotten in the playoffs. Same with the Ravens. You got MVP level, Lamar Jackson, and you got, Derrick Henry coming off signing an extension. The defense for the Lions getting a lot healthier. So this matchup is going to be a good one. The next one I have is the Broncos versus the Bengals. And the reason why I put this one is, you got a young Bo Nix against Joe Burrow. And sometimes these matchups where we've seen the Bengals with Joe Burrow against a young QB, whether it's Jaden Daniels, whether it's, Bo Nix, whether it's, Caleb Williams, these ones are very intriguing. It's very, interesting to see the young QBs who are up and coming right now, who had their rookie years or sophomore years, and versus guys who've been there for a while and are starting to, make their own legacy in the league. In week five, I put down the Chiefs versus Jaguars. Originally, this game doesn't look too interesting just because of where Jacksonville is at in this, for their franchise. And how, a couple of years ago they were competing for Super Bowls. We'll see where they're at now because, they have the number 2 overall pick. Well, they did trade up to go get Travis Hunter, but it's been a couple tough years recently. But to see, potentially Trevor Lawrence against Patrick Mahomes, see how, Travis Hunter does in his first Monday Night Football game. How does he defend against, Travis Kelce and other receivers Mahomes is throwing to that night? I think this game could potentially be a good one. All right, I put another one down we have two. We have two for week 6. It's going to be a doubleheader. We have the Bills and the Falcons, but then we also have a rematch of last year's Hail Mary between Washington and Chicago. We got the Bears and Commanders. Jaden Daniels against Caleb Williams, another matchup. I guarantee, we have to do this one just because of how the game ended. Even though, it was low scoring, but the way it ended, I think it's, it has all the makings of a fun rematch. Plus, also, we'll see where the Falcons are at this point in the season with the young Michael Penix Jr., going up against potentially MVP frontrunner or in talks, Josh Allen, because Josh Allen will be in MVP talks. And so to see those two QBs going at it, I think it's going to be a good matchup. For week 7, I wrote this one down just personally because of the history of Seattle and the 12th man, Baker Mayfield, with the Bucks going up to Seattle. To this point, you could have Baker Mayfield versus Sam Darnold, and you could have that potential matchup where, they'll probably, hey, these two were who's going to be the first QB off the board back in 2018 when both of them were getting drafted. You could look at it from that point of view, but then also just with who the Bucks have drafted, who the Seahawks have drafted as well. You have a young Jalen Milroe. This could be, his time to shine, prime time. Him going up against Baker, I think this has the makings of a good game. And then to round it out with week 10 and week 14, I got 2 Eagle games. The first one is going to be the Eagles versus the Packers. It's going to be a rematch with the divisional game after the Eagles smacked us around. This one's going to be in Lambeau, and so I'm interested to see how Barkley, Hurts, Brown, Smith, all of them do, in Lambeau. And then the next one towards the end of the season, I have the Eagles versus the Chargers. We have Justin Herbert against Jalen Hurts, and how just we got a good team in the East. I definitely think the Eagles are going to fight for the division, but then a sneaky division foe with the Chargers, because you can kind of gauge on, okay, are the Chargers going to be good this year, bad this year? And I think just on paper, this matchup looks pretty good, just because it's the Chargers, man. And I think every Charger game that could have a, you look at the Dolphins, or you look at, what's another team like the Bengals or something, where if we have two good quarterbacks going at it, this could be a good matchup. And so those are my thoughts. Again, no particular order of some of the top 10 matchups that we have potentially coming on Monday Night Football. Which one do you think is the most intriguing towards you? Were you circling it a little bit more? Let me know in the comment section. Be sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.